Let's try this one more time. Whew. It's not easy, you know, broadcasting from a country where Facebook is banned. So, here we go. Good morning, America! Yes, here we are. We are coming live to you. This is the Reacher Report. And the whole goal of Reacher Report is to share with you everything about like day-to-day life of window cleaners. We're not so much into the idea of sort of running everything with celebrities, but much more interested in running everything with everyday window cleaners. Just the guys like you and the guys like I was. Don Hamblin's here. Welcome, my friend. So we are crazy busy still. It's meant to be slowing down a little bit, but it ain't. Johnny's down in New Zealand. He's probably going to log in and show us where he is at some point. And no way. That's my friend. Let me have a look at all who the +9 are. I think that was Doug Rucker. Yeah, this is my new TV, but we had no time yesterday. Doug, you should come on the show, right? That's got to be Doug. It's got to be Doug. Alan Carr is here. That's good. Joseph Skinner. This is my new TV, buddy. Like, look at that. Like, it's so big. Like, I'm right up against it. It's like 65-inch or something. And then, but I can't hook it up. I don't know why. I can't hook it up to my computer. I had it hooked up yesterday before we went live. Here he is, Doug Rucker. Stay in. Hey, Doug, will you come on live with us? Like, let's talk business, pressure washer, window cleaners, pressure washers, training, all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about your school and sales training and all that sort of stuff. Happy to do that. We're not as big as you guys. These guys, Doug and Ron Musgraves, run Cleaners Live as a feed. They do it once a week. I think it's Tuesday night, 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. EST. They get about 4,000 viewers. We're up to 1,000, which we appreciate. 1,000. Right here, right now, Doug. You ready? Boom. I know you know how to do this. So, and the whole idea is us to cross-pollinate, you know, with other businesses and let people know how things are going for other window cleaners and then what issues people are facing. I'm interested in listening to what the issues are that window cleaners are facing because, like, we've got leverage now as a tool manufacturer, so we want to get in there and start solving all your problems. Yesterday, I had a meeting with my engineers. He's grilling. Oh my God, he's grilling what? Dinner. Okay. So any night, Doug, you name the night. Hey, Jason, Logan is here. Doug, do you have a link? Just look up Cleaners Live. Look up Cleaners Live in Facebook search. Yeah. Yeah, that's my nice TV. You better believe it, buddy. Yeah. So any old night. Yeah. And we'll beam you guys in and talk your stuff. So it's very much part of our intention. And I know you guys will do similar, but you guys have got that. You guys have got a wealth of knowledge between you to talk about. But so far we've had some really interesting, yeah, I've got the Lenny look. Bob Kavnar is here. Do you want to come on board, Bob? You ready to rock and roll? Talk some business structures and efficiency stuff. That'd be good. I'd like to have you in. So and then the game plan is this is how we're going to roll it. We've got this big mama of a TV right there. And so what's going to happen is we're going to ask you to submit videos and photos of things, experiences, whether it's technique or whether it's something you've done or something you don't know how to do. And then we're going to be able to show it live in the show. You like to watch. I like to watch too, Bob. So then we're going to go live in the show and then make this the topic. Yeah, there it is. Live cleaning talk with Ron and Doug. This does look a little bit porn-ish, but it's not. China, do you know, China has a 100% ban on porn. 100%. They shut down, they have a news release every month, how many websites they've shut down that have got porn on them. They block all internet access to porn. Like, they've got dudes that are just searching the internet for links that are still open and closing them down. So basically, the source of porn in China, if you want to talk porn on Reacher Report, the source of porn in China is still DVDs. So there'll be little old grandma out the front of the supermarket with a little trolley and a little lift-up thing, and on the top she'll have some CD covers, some phone plastics, you know, where you put the plastic over the top of the phone, so she'll have all of that. But underneath, then she's got all these DVDs of all this Asian porn stuff, right? So there you go. That's how porn is distributed in China. Always by a grandma, never by a beautiful girl, and definitely not by a dude. Yeah. So I don't have a DVD player. I have a VPN. I need porn. Yeah, inside, I had a meeting yesterday with, no, China's amazing. China's great. I like it. It's a great example of government operating. It's got all sorts of things that we can say are wrong with it, but it's got a very good example of government operating without interference. So if you look at the new book that Harrison and I are writing sometime this year, hopefully we'll get into it. It's called Block and Flow. And basically, you know, the synchronicity, alignment, team, those are all words that belong inside flow. And the absence of any one of them is block. So if you want to understand what happened, for example, between us and WCR, there was block. There were all sorts of things there happening outside of, you know, synchronicity, alignment, and flow. And by the way, do not like any of my, don't defend Reach It in any of the professional window cleaners or WCR forum, because everybody who does gets kicked out. Right? So you can just read about how bad Reach It is and just soak it up, but don't defend us unless you're out of that group, right? And there's even guys who are paying their $99 a month, like I think it was Jason yesterday, got kicked out. He's paying $99 a month to be he's a paid up member, and he's been kicked out. So there's still a very, very aggressive anti-Reach It campaign going on in that camp, right? But and it does distract some people. We know we lose a couple of sales to it because they believe the bullshit, but you know, that's between them and them, you know. We can't win them all anyway. So, and I always say you haven't lost what you never had, so no use crying about stuff, you know, losing a sale or something like that. So, where are my glasses? I hate these things. Yeah, it's really happening, buddy. It's really happening. As recently as yesterday, a guy's a full paid up member and got kicked out. But you know, they want to drum it up, and I don't know. When we think about, you know, whether we take a legal avenue on it and, you know, look to shut it down, but I think it just puts more steam. I don't want to add more air to it. We're going to put a press release out again, you know, just to let people know that we know. The last time we put that email out, when they attacked us on Chinese New Year's Day, and they put that whole stuff out, and then everybody came to our aid and gave testimonies, so we built a website with 100 pages. I think it's wcr.reachitpolls.com or something like that. There's 100 testimonials and video answers from me. We put a link to that out in an email to all of our customers, and Chris Lambrinidis rang our service provider, like MailChimp, and said that it was defamatory and, you know, blah blah blah. Like, so, you know, they're pretty aggressive in their anti-Reach It. But I think you just calm, say nothing. Glasses suck. Yeah, it's just wrong, isn't it? Like, I get to 55, I don't never wear a single pair of glasses in my whole life, and then all of a sudden it's like, huh? All right. We have two new ROs coming. But basically, to understand ROs, you have to understand that it's about the membrane. The membrane is the core, and ROs are designed to save money on DI. Like if you ever want the real filter, it should be DI only. However, it costs money because it's a consumable. So if your running cost on DI only exceeds, let's say, $50 a week, $40, $50 a week, depending on your season, right? You got a long season or a short season. Then you want to look at what your annual costs in DI are, and then look at reducing those by 90% in getting a reverse osmosis membrane. Now, reverse osmosis membranes are designed for things like desalination plants, water purification plants. They're designed and are factory tested at 150 psi, most of them. Water temperature 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And TDS 750, something like that. Maybe 79 degrees, anyway, something like that sort of range there. That's their laboratory testing. And then they say, okay, this one puts out 2,400 gallons per day. And it does put out 2,400 gallons per day, and it's designed to put out 2,400 gallons per day because it's not designed to turn off and on. The second thing is that the water coming out of the pure side of a reverse osmosis membrane is designed to go into a bin, like a bucket, and then from that bucket be pumped, you know, with great big pumps into, you know, the water supply system that, you know, we drink from, making potable water, or into your bottled water. I mean, a lot of your Coca-Cola water is all reverse osmosis membrane water. So, pardon me. So the intention of putting a reverse osmosis membrane into your window cleaning business is as a pre-filter to DI resin to save money on DI. If you're only spending $10 a week and somebody says you need a reverse osmosis membrane, it's bullshit. You do not need a reverse osmosis membrane to take $10 a week down to $1 a week, right? Because that reverse osmosis membrane system is maybe $2,000. So it's you're going to save $10 a week for 200 weeks. You know, before you get a break even on that, and then in the meantime, you know, because it's stop start and all of that, maybe you've had to replace your membranes. So if you see reverse osmosis as a pre-filter to DI, a business decision, not a water decision. So you hear people say, oh, your TDS is over 150, you need an RO. That's bullshit as well. That doesn't wash. That is a myth. It's a myth that drives people towards reverse osmosis membrane sales, and there's more money in an RO system sale than there is in a pole sale. So that's why you'll see guys, you know, stitch people up with the biggest RO system and then give them the worst pole. You'll see that a lot. Which is, here's the point. You can buy a reverse osmosis tank, a DI tank from me for $79, right? And you can buy an IPC hydrocart dual pole, which I don't believe in, but anyway, dual pole pump system, reel on top, all that whiz bang fang dangle for $5,000 US, and you will not increase the efficiency of your business one iota. Pure water does not affect efficiency, and the $5,000 investment system will not deliver you any better pure water than a $79 DI tank, like subject to how high your TDS is and, you know, whether you've got enough contact time in the DI tank, but in principle. So your filter is a decision for, it still looks like porn, doesn't it? Your filter is a decision to save money in your business. You have a DI cost, or you can predict the DI cost, and you want to save on that DI cost, so you get a reverse osmosis system. Now that we've say this is why you have a DI, let's have a look at reverse osmosis membranes. They're normally designed to have zero pressure on the permeate, on the pure water side. The pure water side just drops into a great big container. On the back end of that great big container is a pump, and that pump is what creates the pressure, right, to go out. And that's how the UK works, by the way. The UK have filters that go into tanks, and then they have delivery pumps on the back end of the tank. The delivery pump puts the pressure into your system. But in the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, pardon me, we run what's called on-demand pure water, and Wash It Pro was the leading one. We developed that in 2012 and has been the leader in the marketplace for that time, because what we did is reduced all the restrictions and restraints and then maximized the pure water out and the pressure. Like, so fortunately for us, Axion had developed their HF5 back then, maybe, I don't know when they did it, 2010, 2011. And the HF5 membrane allowed for more pressure to go through. Now, a lot of time has gone by since we developed Wash It Pro with IPC Eagle engineers. And since then, the reverse osmosis membrane market has also matured and developed, and the technology has also matured and developed. So now, in redesigning and looking at flow, this is becoming a long rant and ramble, but I guess it's interesting. We are able to talk to engineers and say to them, look, what we need is actually pressure out the permeate side, right? And nobody else does. So we need a membrane that's going to deliver more pressure to the pure line than the average reverse osmosis membrane. And that's what you'll find in flow. And we met with the engineers for them. We had 3 engineering meetings yesterday, but so we met with the engineers from the manufacturers of our membranes, because they're making a custom membrane for us, and they're also running them in the test mode for stop start, and running on 30 psi through to 80 psi, which we think is the average sort of working conditions that people are going in. And the worst condition is 30 psi, and then we're working out how to maximize the flow even at 30 psi. So you'll see that we have a ceramic valve on our wastewater. So we have a standard wastewater 50-50 split, so 50% to waste and 50% to pure. And then we have another variable valve which makes us able to increase the back pressure even further. So we have basically variable reverse osmosis back pressure with the intentions of pushing more water out to the permeate side, less water out, even though that's not the way the reverse osmosis membranes have been traditionally designed. So all of that's in testing now, but there's no, the engineering side of that manufacturing plant are not raising any red alarms, red alerts. So we're pretty excited that we're going to bust through a couple more myths and deliver more permeate pressure. So at the moment you might say, oh, I can clean to 2 stories and sometimes 3. You know, what we're trying to do is get it that you can clean to 3 stories and sometimes 4, right? And have amazing more flow, because you can see that with Constructor and Hydroblade, that we're looking at saying use more water, use less time. So if we're going to have a reverse osmosis membrane system, we need to be able to pump out more water out of the reverse osmosis membrane, you know, or the RODI system. Yeah. So it's all putting it together. Let me see what you guys have said in the meantime. Can you fire up that corner in the top right corner? Yes. You want to? Well. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Do I want to maximize the filtration side of the reverse osmosis membrane so that you cut 98%? Because the normal function of an RO is to take 98% or 95% or 90% out of the pure water. Yeah, sorry, out of the tap water. And but the trade-off, so you know what's going on behind the scenes. The trade-off is that the more you want pure, the less volume you're going to get. So what we're doing is we're saying to them, relax on the pure and give us the volume. Right? Because if we said, like, basically our brief to them is we want TDS 30 and below from TDS tap water, spigot water 500 and below. So we don't care if it's 90% or 98%. We just want it around 30. So we may end up with 2 membranes, one for people who are 250 to 500 and one for people who are, you know, 150 to 200 or 150 to 300, 300 to 600, something like that. So that's what we're talking to them about. But all we want is TDS 30 because our little DI tank can handle 30. But if we can get the volume of water out of the system to be, you know, that the reverse osmosis membrane is only reducing the pressure by sort of 20% rather than 50%, because a lot of reverse osmosis membranes take at least 50% of the pressure, right? So that gives you some ideas. So what's the maximum? You know, what's the maximum TDS that doesn't spot with a hydroblade? We used to clean all of our tinted window commercial properties in Sydney with tap water. We never purified it at all, not even through a sediment carbon filter. And that was TDS 100. So that's why, like, I'm the guy who's out there. I had such an experience with using high TDS water for spot-free results. And then we built, as you'll see us, we're just about to rebuild a variable TDS out DI system. You can just turn off, it's going to cost me a valve, right, to do it. So you can turn that valve off and run a TDS 000 if that's your belief system. But on the other side, if you can turn it, if you've got TDS 100 as your tap water, I know you haven't got that in Texas, but if your TDS is 100, and you can wind that open and at TDS 50, you've still got spot free, then we've halved the cost of your DI, right? Just like that. And that's for DI only applications. The other thing to notice this is if this was a television and I was answering it, I would put up right now the periodic table. And in the top corner here where this dude and his pretty girl is, in there would be the lithium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, right? Those minerals there, they're up in that part of the periodic table. What's unique about those is that they all dry white. Calcium is chalk, sodium is salt, right? Lithium, magnesium, potassium, I don't know, but they do, they dry white. So if you have a look at what's happening when a spot is created, if the other minerals, by the way, dry red, black, green, like they dry dark colors. So if you go what is white? White is the reflection of all visible light. So there's energy running in different spectrums, right? Some of that spectrum is what we call visible light to the human eye, and when all of that spectrum is reflected back at us, we call it white. And black is the absence of all light. In other words, black, anything you see as black is absorbing all visible light, so you actually see a silhouette and you call it black, right? But you can't actually see black. And then, so red is when the red spectrum is reflected back at you. Green is when the green spectrum is reflected back at you. So, and it's absorbed all the other spectrums, so it leaves that color in isolation. Now, if your minerals have calcium, sodium, magnesium, lithium, like these, I mean, obviously not magnesium and lithium is going to be there in massive proportions, but mostly, you know, calcium, so, and magnesium. So if you have these two in your water supply, then when you get a spot and that spot dries, it's going to dry and leave white minerals. Those white minerals will reflect all light. Now you compare that to what we have in Sydney, where there's no calcium in our water, practically, then we could have the same TDS and the minerals dry black. So when those minerals dry black, right, the tiny, tiny little spot, in inverted commas, which is not a spot because you can't see it, is absorbing all light, and so you can't see it. And in particular on tinted commercial buildings, right? So then you have the ability to run at TDS 100 for TDS 100 for commercial work. Yes. Let's have a look. What else? Facts. I'm going to scroll back a fair old way. I want to maximize, here's the point, Bob. I want to maximize the performance of the reverse osmosis membrane for volume, not to reduce the DI cost to the ridiculous. Like I think you would be happy at 30 cents an hour compared to 20 cents an hour. When you're making 200, the difference is making $100 an hour to $200 an hour by being able to have more water. It's still going to be spot free, because you can, if it's not spot free straight out of the RO, you can drop it through a DI tank. You know, the little one that we have on flow is a little nice, easy to fill, easy to use DI tank. And you just drop it through there and bring it out at TDS 000 or TDS 10. It doesn't matter, it's still going to be spot free. Alrighty, this is a big day on ROs. Big bucks for them carts, I just burn through. Right, so you don't, if you're burning through resin, Josh Weddle, if you're burning through resin, then you can say, this is my cost of resin per year. You can compare that to wash it, to reach its flow. And then you can say, okay, it's worth the investment. You could do half of it on PayPal credit if you want, so you've got 6 months to pay that and pay us the other half. We can split the invoices so that, basically PayPal credit will authorize nearly everybody up to $1,000, and then over $1,000 they're looking at your credit score, unless you've got a really, really crap credit score, right? So there's what we can work with you on getting those invoices to work, so that you can apply for using PayPal credit. Now is the perfect time to use PayPal credit because it's 6 months interest free. You get a separate PayPal account. You have to pay that account off, not your normal PayPal account. And if you do within the 6 months, you got it interest free. 6 months from now is the end of our season for most of the north of North America, right? So now's the time to take it on. Don't go taking it on in October. Pressure washing to a super size. Yeah, so if you can take, Bob, you've got TDS 150 to 250, you take 90% of that out, right? Then you're down to 15 to 25. A DI can deal with 15 to 25. No problem. Dan Boots here. Hi, Dan. So it's, you know, we could also give you a membrane that could reduce it to 5, right? From 150 or 250 down to 5. But the price you pay is volume and pressure out of your permeate line, out of your pure water line. So I believe, use more water, use less time. If you're going to go to an RO, the problem is you get less water out of an RO. How do you get more water out of an RO? And then we talk to our engineers about compromising this drive towards 99% 99% mineral removal. I mean, this particular company is very close. They said they're very close to getting 100% mineral removal. 100% mineral removal from the reverse osmosis. I said to them, forget that for window cleaning. Well, I don't tell them we do window cleaning, because they'll be Chinese, they'll be in there in a flash. But I said, forget that for us. Like, we're not interested in 100% mineral removal to save money on that. We're interested in the permeate line water pressure, so I can go to 2, 3, 4 stories with a 16-inch constructor brush with hydro blade, barreling out 3/4 of a gallon a minute, whatever. You know, however wide. You know, we've got 24-inch wide brushes, we've got 36-inch wide brushes. We want water, and we want it cheap, but it doesn't have to be free, right? Because we make $200 or $300 an hour. Do we really want to focus on the difference between saving between it costing 30 cents and 40 cents, or 40 cents and 20 cents? No, we're looking in the wrong place, right? We've got to look at how to maximize the income, not how to reduce the expense. Les Ryan's here. Yeah, so Les Ryan's got TDS30 in Oamaru. It's all calcium, lithium, magnesium, and it all dries white, so it's all going to leave a spot even at TDS30, right? Yes, the new force filters, we've just agreed with them what the labels are going to say, so they're going to build them for us, OEM, put our labels on them. The new force filters will fit the IPC hydrocarts and the... I'm nerding out. And of course the Wash It Pro. I mean, Wash It Pro was made by IPC. IPC used the same membranes all the way through. We could make 2 gallons a minute. You'll watch us put, you'll see here, buddy. You'll watch us put, basically we're building a Wash It Pro, which will be a dumbed down, pure water system like we developed it, Wash It Pro to be. So it'll stay as a dumbed down press and play system, and then we're going to build a dual membrane Wash It Pro. So you'll be able to put just loads of water through it. I mean, it's really inclined towards not come out of your vehicle type 1, but it'll still have wheels. That's my thinking. But flow, like if you want to really understand what's going on and you want to turn up at a site, like why does flow have more gauges, more controls, more power, more everything? Because if you have a full-time operator who's a professional window cleaner, when he turns up at site, and his conditions are going to be different on every single site, there's data that he needs. If he's got that data in front of him, through experience, he will automatically translate and interpret what does that data mean. And then that then turns into him making better decisions which brush he can use from the get-go, which hose tube relationship he can use from the get-go, right? So the reason why flow has got more to it is to give more information that's completely relevant to the guy, turns up on site, plugs it into the spigot and goes, shit, I can't use a 24-inch brush on this job because the water pressure's down. Or, oh, the water pressure's down, I need to turn on my booster pump, my Wayne PC4 or my Liberty or whatever it is that you've got as a booster pump. You know, or, oh, the pressure's down, I'd better put the flow delivering the water into my inflatable buffer tank, which is what I'm working on right now, like into a buffer tank and turn on the 12-volt delivery pump. I mean, that's where I'm trying to get it to, where like if you've got a dumbed down workforce and you just want them to scrub with a tucker brush up and down, up and down, up and down and earn $100 an hour, that's sweet. We've also got tucker brushes coming out for that part of the marketplace to compete against this dumbed down, the dumbification of our industry that the resellers are pushing. So we've got to make sure, because somebody just said I'm nerding out, so we've got to make sure that Reach It is not just for nerds, right? But we can bring people in to the Reach It ethos, even with dumbification products, and then get them into Reach It Academy, get them into Reach It Prototype Group, which is all coming out soon. And then from there we can start saying, hey, bucko, Reach It Recruit, where we're going to challenge guys to their efficiency, the hourly rate which they can achieve. So we started that with one young guy to see if we can make that work. But we've got to prove that it's worth nerding out as a window cleaner because you can double your income or triple your income, right? And we've got to work out how to deliver that information to them. At the same time, we've got to persuade the customer. I believe you'll see what we bring out later this week, in the next day or two, is the beginning of how we're going to start educating your customers to demand you, right? To demand the fastest window cleaner in town, right? It's a big game plan, but What I conceded is that I have to have a dummified product, right? In order to get the dummified people, because the resellers are pushing dummification like crazy, right? So let's see what else you guys have written. Kurt is here. What's the secret price point of the reintroduced Wash It Pro? The reintroduced Wash It price point will be 1190 plus freight, I think. 1190 plus freight. So it'll be a little bit different. It'll have our DI tank on it. So it'll have this one. You know, yep, I got one of them at home. So it'll have the DI tank on it, so you can switch to DI only, or you'll be able to pull that off the cart and just use it as DI only separately. So maybe you'll have one guy on RO and one guy on DI. You could have one guy agitating. If you're a tugger brush off glass rinser, then you can agitate with RO, rinse with DI. You know, have two poles running off the same system without needing to spend $5,000 BS on a dual pole system. That's like probably the biggest scam that's going on in our industry right now, is the you need a system that can handle two poles. That is just total misleading everybody. So Steve Carriage is here. Greetings. Kurt Van den Heuvel. That's good. Rick Neese is here. Yeah, 2 gallons a minute plus, but 2 gallons a minute plus, let's talk about that. Why do you need 2 gallons a minute plus? And the answer is probably because you want to run 2 poles at once, I guess. Tell me that. If it is 2 poles at once, then I would suggest you probably are better to buy 2 different systems and run them separately. I'll tell you why. If you run 2 poles off the one system, you really have to have independent pumps, otherwise the whole thing fails. Water follows the path of least resistance. So if you have one pole operating up here and the other guy here, this guy will get all the water. Yeah, because the water will follow the path of least resistance. There's less resistance out of this. No, when I say all the water, it's not all the water, but he will get his more share. So this guy will find it difficult to rinse, right? Unless they're both operating at exactly the same height. No, not true. If this guy is operating at 4 stories and this guy is operating at 4 stories, and this guy has 150 feet of tube and this guy has 100 feet of tube, this guy is going to get more water because there's less resistance in that line, right? So whatever you do, whatever way you do it, running a single into a Y and then running 2 poles off it doesn't make sense. The only thing that makes sense is an independent pump per pole with a pump controller preferably, and then what that does is give each pole its source of water. Now, in the old days, when you go back to off-glass rinsing, Tucker style window cleaning, then what we did is we ran one guy, he would run agitation, and then the other guy would follow with rinse, right? Oh, no, rinse. This way. I'm not sure I can do that. I can't. You try that, come on. This one's got to go up and down, and this one's got to go side to side. No, doesn't work. So one guy agitates, the other guy rinses. That's how we ran, and then they swap every 15 minutes. So basically the rinse guy is pushing the agitation guy along, like it keeps a very high level of efficiency. But with constructor brush and hydroblade, now you're agitating, rinsing in the same stroke, so there's no efficiency in that. So really then it's just about giving independent, water supplies, right? Let's see what else you guys are asking. I like questions. Steve Carriage is here. Yeah, we're getting there, John. I mean, when sometimes, Apple bought out, I don't know if you saw it, but one of the most ridiculous products that anybody would ever seen from Apple was last year when they had a battery problem on one of the phones and they bought out this ugly cover, like a Mophie cover, with a bulging battery. And that was a backup battery for an Apple phone. So when I listened to all the BS about, it's not, the facts are the facts. Like Reachit has as many manufacturing and engineering and construction and assembly issues as one would think as any other assembly plant, because we have humans, we have systems that are changing, we have volume peaks that exceed our knowledge base, so we might need to put new workers in to carry a peak, or and then we have material changes, when a supplier may change a material and not inform us or whatever. So, and we've seen Unger, the Stingray poles are all broken, not all of them, but they've got their fair share. The Boabs broke, plastic Boabs, broke. And that doesn't make any sense for an 80-year-old country with turning over $80 million a year, but it happens. And once you accept that, so, and then I go back. I always look at Steve Jobs when he brought out Lisa. You know, it was a flop. He didn't get Next across the line until he went back to Apple. You know, he was able to bring Next into Apple and perfect that, which really the final sort of nail to the success of that was the marriage between IBM and Apple in maybe 2015. You know what I mean? So we are striving, and we do. You know, if you go back and see what killed Nokia, Nokia got killed by making a phone that didn't advance. Like Unger followed us in 2012 and brought out the Inlight range. It's now 2017. There's not one part of it that's changed in 5 years. Whereas if you look at Reachit, we've changed every product has improved every year, like with some changes. Man, our meeting yesterday has got some exciting changes in it. Like, we're not finished by any means yet. Like, we're still coming up with new things that nobody's ever done. They may have thought of it, but they haven't done it, and they may never have thought of it, which means we're going to be the first. So more patent applications, yeah. So you know, but I look at it and I think we model ourselves on the German style, because the Germans are probably the only developed country that didn't buy into consumerism. Consumerism is an American philosophy, by the way, as a post-World War II. But the Germans never bought in it. They only ever made quality products to last a long time. And then Apple came into the market with the iPhones, and that they also just said, okay, you know, the average Nokia is finished at 18 months through a 2-year contract. You want to throw the thing away. Then the salesman rings you up and says, how's that piece of shit phone that you've got? You know, do you want to replace it early? We'll let you off the last 3 months of your contract if you sign a new contract now. And that was all designed like built-in obsolescence. Just like you see, a lot of the UK poles are designed to fail. If they built their poles to last, their businesses may not succeed, right? And if you look at Facelift as an example, like Facelift was started by guys like me, and they failed, right? And then Window Cleaning Warehouse bought them out, Stephen Fox. So Window Cleaning Warehouse owns Facelift. They buy from Xingbo, Xinbo. If you want to have a look at carboncomposites.com, you will see them. And then they sell the Carbon Composites pole is sold around the world under different brands, right? Including the Zero, right? So there's such a difference, in my opinion, between designing poles that are designed to fail so that you can sell another pole in 2 years' time. And that's why I feel sorry for all the guys buying UK poles in America when they had a choice to buy a pole that's actually designed to last, you know, 5 or 6, 7, 10 years. Like Boeing Dreamliner is made of the same stuff. The America's Cup yachts foiling out of the water at 40 knots are made of the same stuff. Your golf clubs are made of the same stuff. Those things don't break. Like, you know, Boeing Dreamliners don't have a 2-year replacement cycle. You know, America's Cup yachts, you know, can fly forever, you know, kind of thing. So, you know, the idea of saying, oh, your pole, you need a new pole in 2 years is BS. What you need is something where you've got two surfaces wearing against each other. Something has to fail. If you make it the carbon fiber tube that's going to fail, then you need to replace the pole. If you glue the carbon fiber tube and the clamp together, then you're going to think your pole has failed. If you make your clamp out of a softer material than the carbon fiber, then the clamp will fail, and then you replace the clamps. And that's what we do for $69. You can replace the clamps on any $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 Reachit set. Yeah? Let's have a look what we're talking. Yes, Adam, you will see us developing that right now. We can't find a low-cost triple TDS meter, so we're still running with a dual TDS meter. We're going to give you a little add-on, like a 5-inch sediment carbon filter, because the guys that want a sediment carbon filter, we're going to let you have that, but you know, we're not pretty much we're not committed to it as a in the design, but we're going to make sure that there's a plug so you can plug it in and make it convenient. Yes, exactly that. You probably missed our show, maybe, I don't know, 5 days ago. We ran a whole show on that thing. I brought it into the studio here, and we went through it. But we have it redesigned, so now it's we're looking to all the processes for manufacture. We've bought all the parts for it. The only thing we can't find right now anywhere is a low-cost triple TDS meter. So basically, we're going to have TDS out will be fixed and then you'll be able to you'll be able to see the effect of mixing the tap water back into the DI water and having variable TDS out. That point will be fixed, and then you'll be able to move the meter between the TDS of the water in and the TDS of the water out of the first tank, which most of the time I think you'll leave it on the TDS out of the first tank, because that's the only thing. Yes, when I completely agree with you, but if I can't do it, I can either put two TDS meters in it, which would look ugly, one for in and one for out, but it's cumbersome and it's confusing, or we just, make this manual changeover, because in the end of the day, you're not going to be so interested in what is the TDS of the water in, you're just going to be interested in when did the first tank fail and what's the TDS of the water out, right? That's my gut feeling. If you go to somebody's place which is well water, then you might say, okay, I might even pull out a manual TDS meter. Let me just think about that. Let me make a note. Maybe we'll make a little slot for a manual TDS meter for water in. Yeah, that's a good idea, Perry. Right there. If we cannot get a triple TDS meter, we will give you a make slot for hand TDS meter in fuel DI. There you go. I know you can't see that, but look at this. I think, oh no, that's my wall. I think I can, I'll just show you something. Somewhere here, I'll show you how clever we are. No, those are filters. Settings. Look at that. We can actually hold things up. Oh! Oh my goodness. The whole world's changing, right? That's what I held up. Now I can train you and flip the screen so I can show you, you can read my hand notes. See, that shows you I'm a mad scientist, right? That's my clipboard. Oh, dearie me. Alright, so I'm going to do a whole lot of training. I should have drawn some of that stuff today actually, but anyway. It's good. Alright, so let me see what else you want to know. Hey, Matt is here. That's good. Thomas is back. Perry, the pump needs to be a continuous duty pump. Yeah. I agree with you that it does, Jason, but if you look at the Wayne PC4, it's so economical. So there's... I studied these DVDs on the 80-20 rule, like for corporate business, and it really set my mind very clearly on a couple of points. One, that basically, here's the simple rule that this guy said. He said, if you have if you have margin greater than 25%, focus on sales, focus on revenue. If you have margin less than 15%, focus on expenses, cutting expenses. Because and what he's saying is that if you've got margin greater than 25% and you spend your time focusing on saving like what is really a very small part of your total maths of your business, then you're going to end up putting too much effort. Now, if we can come up with a continuous pump and we can get it at the right price and we can add it to the system, I am all sold, and I would love your help to do that, right? I would love your help to do that. In the meantime, what we know from Wash It Pro over the last 5 years is that the number one pump that people gravitated to was the Wayne PC4 transfer pump, right? And I know there are guys who say that theirs burnt out in a year, but it's $130, right? And in my opinion, until we find another one that window cleaners have gravitated towards and has been proven in our system, or we can get talking to pump manufacturers and get them to say, okay, this is exactly designed for your window cleaning, stop-start, pressure, pushing through RO, like actually designed for the function, rather than just buying other pumps that are made out there, then $130 a year is $2.20 a week in a 50-week year, say. That's not a big on-cost compared to the other costs of the business, and it's an amazing leverage, which if you've got more water, use more water, use less time, so if it gives you that more water. So that's the max. That's why we've gravitated towards the Wayne PC4 at the beginning, of our journey into, making professional reverse osmosis membrane systems for window cleaners. That's the difference, man, because Wash It Pro was the first one really made for a window cleaner, which had design for window cleaners, and that was my work, my design. And when you look at Flow, you'll go, yeah, this is even more. And now you're looking at, we're getting in with the engineering and actually talking to the engineers that make reverse osmosis membranes, understanding the deep design and saying, hey, this is what we need. And them saying, because I'll just tell you this, the thing about China is that 34% of every single product in the world is made in China. 34% of every single thing consumed. So it is an incredibly competitive environment. So if you talk about how many reverse osmosis membrane manufacturers are there out there, there are probably hundreds, and they're all competing for market opportunity. So when we go in and say, look, we have a market and we want to design and develop a product to suit that market, they are really, clambering for that opportunity, because then they can maximize their business. And I think that is, that's probably a symptom of the world having a contracting marketplace right now. So before, like when we approached, if I go even back, 6 or 7 years when I first came to China, maybe that's a lot harder to find factories doing that, because they were all running to capacity, filling this expanding world economy, right? But now the world economy is contracting. There's less demand from overseas. There's more competition, for that demand. Then now everybody's no different than us with our businesses, I guess. Everybody's keen to win the new customer. Okay. Philip is here. Philip Ferrara. Darcy is here. Bang, triple S, triple TDS, pumps and consumables, you got it. And 240 volt, we don't have 240 volt here. We have 220 volt in China, by the way. We have to use an inverter, an American, we have 220 here, 220 volt. So it's 220 to 110 inverter to be able to test our Wayne pump, for example. Yeah, manual TDS meters are good. What's my time? Did I talk that whole thing without beaming anybody in? That's 55 minutes of a soliloquy. Whew, I bet you most people are gone now. Why does it only show me that? Roger Boggs is here. That says +9, but I can't see them. Oh well, it is what it is. So, Matthew Martinez is here. So we've been talking RO membranes. I'm surprised Mark Strange didn't turn up today. He's been popping in. I think he might have worked out that he can just watch them without watching live. But I got a feel for some people. When you look at Hydroblade, have I got a Hydroblade here? I don't. I took it back to the factory. Anyway, but when you look at Hydroblade, this is a Hydroblade, yeah? Hydroblade is engineered, with a whole lot of things in mind, and so you got to chuckle if you look at guys running a DIY functionality. And I think the difference is when you buy something where somebody's put their heart and soul into designing it and making it work, that you're really benefiting from the total sum of all of those experiences of all the window cleaners that have had to go with this, and then ultimately giving the feedback on this. So I just have my little heart out for Mark. You should have stayed a Reach It guy. Yeah. Man, have I got some stuff coming. We are working on a lot. So I think the Reach It community is going to be really, really tight and strong over the next 3 to 6 months. Everybody's going to see it all come together, like the master plan. That when I started this in 2011 with Harrison, I told him what the plan was, and we're very close now to being able to manifest the more exciting, dynamic aspects of that plan. Like, we've just had to put some more people in. We probably need 3 or 4 more people in the media department. So we've got a new web developer, like a coder, so we can code everything and bring back, all of those clever ideas that we did and we got but that we couldn't take through to perfection. We're looking at a videographer, so we're interviewing a couple of people that came from my online ad, but if you've got any people that you know, fire them our way. We're looking for some online marketing people, like on an internship from America to China. So we'll bring them out here and put them up and put them in a group house and let them, do like SEO, social media, that kind of thing. And there's one other that we're looking. Oh, a web developer, a web designer. No. We've got the web designer. We want somebody else. Anyway, somebody from social media, web. I'm trying to think. Oh, videographer. We've got coming. Anyway, blah blah blah. Well, we've got some openings. So if you've got kids or nephews or nieces who would be interested in an internship and they've got some sort of skills, capabilities, passion, drive, right, grit, staying power, right, can keep up with a big Pez dog, then push them my way by private message on Facebook. All right. I didn't see John Haslam's today. My partner, Josh Wickham's here. Hey, Josh. We have been talking about a lot this morning, but you'll be able to watch back over this because this is all about reverse osmosis membranes and reverse osmosis system designs and stuff like that. Flow is the go, right? Flow is going really, really well. We've got, we have probably it'd be 6 to 8% teething problems that we had, which is not so bad from a standing start. So we've replaced, we've had 3 that we replaced, just we couldn't quite work out what was happening, even though they were whatever. So anyway, we just sent new ones out to people. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then that was from the ones that we sent out in the first 10 or 15. And then after that, we've got none yet. Well, there maybe something else comes up, as you know. That's business. But I mean, that's how we handle it. If you know it's a new product and you want to wait to see how well it's received and everything like that, then you know that we don't leave you struggling with something. And all of the issues, by the way, all of the issues that we've had are because of being dropped by UPS. Are all damage from they're what are they, 55 pounds as a box, and then they get dropped out of a blooming aeroplane or something, and so there's some sort of impact damage, and so we've had to work our way through repairing those. So that's our joy. Yes, I did put that link on yesterday's video. I will hook it up. You mean for the bronze wool brush? We've signed off on that. Yes, well done, Alex. So we've signed off on that both as a prototype brush, which we'll assemble, and then we've also signed off with the engineers to make it a single piece. Basically, if you look at this is an extrusion, right? So when you see something that's all the same shape in one direction, then it's not made by an injection mold, it's made by an extrusion mold. It's basically pulled through the mold this way. And so if you imagine from yesterday, you imagine that there's the brush, the bronze wool brush block. So it could be, rather than it sliding into the channels, then I've ordered it as one piece. So it'll come through the mold. Where's that camera? Yeah, it'll come through the mold like that, and all one piece, and then we'll just put the end caps on and away we go. So I'm pretty excited about that. I have, that's probably 30 to 35 days away. Yes, it's in there. If you go to store.futureofcleaning.com, use the keyword search, keyword bronze, you'll go straight to it, right? It's in there, visible on all channels. Time to breathe. Time for a Starbucks. It's so much more fun when Johnny's here because he is so funny and he makes me laugh a lot. I guess if he was here today and I started ranting and raving like that, he'd be reading his phone and answering customer service questions.